What are two skills worth developing as one learns trading? Okay, so I actually have two answers for this. So we're talking about standard skills and we also have meta skills. So a standard skill is just how you do a particular thing, like what actions do you do, or like how good are you at doing like something very specific. But a meta skill is a type of skill such that if you improve at this skill, it improves all other skills which lie underneath that. So, okay, examples. Two standard skills that you could improve at, which will probably help your trading. The first one is learning anything to do with AI, and the second one is marketing, and I'll explain both. So AI is definitely going to be a big one to learn as time passes because the capabilities of AI are improving exponentially. Like if you compare what AI is capable of doing right now and you compare that to like 1 year ago and 2 years ago, it's insane. Oh, and also there's a huge gap between what the average person thinks AI is capable of and what AI is actually capable of doing like right now, right? So there's a huge gap, and that's just like a skill deficiency and also just like an awareness deficiency. So like most people, they say, okay, I think AI is capable of like vibe coding an app or vibe coding like a website. And I think that's, or like vibe coding like some kind of tool and maybe doing like some short form, like TikTok, Instagram reels type stuff. Um, and like that's like the peak of what the average person thinks AI is capable of. But actually, like currently right now, it's it's a lot it's a lot further than that, right? So that's a big one, and the main reason, like the main things that AI can help you with at the moment in trading, there's two. So the first one is speeding up your research slash data review process. So like when we're trying to improve a trade, like an existing trading strategy, the process of how we would improve that is first we come up with an idea, then we collect data on that idea, then we review the data. That was meant to be an R. There we go. Then we review the data, and then we iterate, or we don't iterate based on how the review looked like, as in we make an improvement or we don't make an improvement, or we make a change or we don't make a change to how we execute, and then we restart. So it's this constant cycle of tinkering with your strategy in hopes that the more times that you go, the more times that you iterate, the more P&L, or the stronger your strategy gets over time. That's the idea, right? So the more times that we go through this loop, the stronger our strategy gets, right? If we go through this loop only one time per month, then over a course of a year, we've only made 12 iterations. But if we can go through this loop, let's say 100 times per year, we're going to make more iterations, and therefore we'll have a more optimized strategy or a more optimized process. So AI can help speed up this loop-de-loop process. That's one way. So it can generate ideas for you. It can research the ideas and collect data on them for you. It can review for you. But the iterate, I don't know if it can do this for you. Maybe. I wouldn't put that into the hands of AI. Me personally, I wouldn't be doing that. But yeah, it can help speed up with any of these processes. The second thing is it can, like at the moment, it can actually help you with execution. So like for sure, you can get an AI agent to execute trades on your behalf. For sure, like for sure. Right now, like how good AI is like right now, that absolutely is a possibility. Like basic things like arbitrage or things like that. I wouldn't put it. I wouldn't give it like discretionary type of strategies just yet. But for doing little things like arbitrage and stuff like that, I think for sure AI is definitely there. So that's the first one. The second one is marketing. So trading is well, crypto slash trading is a really interesting industry where it coincides very nicely with the skill of marketing. What I mean by this is right now there is an overwhelmingly large number of players who have the skill of marketing, but they don't have the skill of trading, but they're in the trading industry, right? But they still make lots of money. So I'm just going to say that again for how absurd this is. There are people who are not profitable as traders, but just because they know how to market and tell people that they exist, they can make obscenely large amounts of money from the game despite not actually having the trading skill and still being in the trading industry. This is like being in the fishing industry, but not actually being able to catch a fish. But just because you're good at social media and you just talk about fishing, you make obscene amounts of money from fishing. It's silly. Okay, another example. You talk about combat sport. You have no skill in combat sport whatsoever, but you can still make obscene amounts of money from the combat sport industry, right? So it's absurd, right? It's absurd. So if you pair this with your trading, it will for sure make life easier. And not in the sense that, oh, you have to go open up a paid group or you have to launch some kind of service. Like, no, not even. Not even. There are a whole bunch of people in the crypto industry or just the trading industry in general who they just talk about trading a lot. Some of their posts went viral. They cracked the code for like how to get viral more consistently. They build some kind of brand. They get referral deals. They get affiliate deals, and they get paid really large amounts of money just for simply promoting exchanges or promoting platforms or promoting tools. And that is a totally viable option, right? I know a bunch of people who make well over $10,000 a month just purely from affiliates, right? Purely from affiliates. So, oh, that's one thing. And then the second thing is, um, there is the option where, like, if you can strike a deal with an exchange, some exchanges do actually offer you slightly cheaper fees if you help them with promotion. So, like, I'm not going to name names, for obvious reasons, but for example, if the standard fees on a market order are 6 basis points, so 0.06%. If you happen to be a VIP or placed into the VIP program where you are promoting the ref link and all that, and you're trying to bring people onto the exchange, they will put you onto something like 0.05 or even 0.04, depending on how much volume you can bring them. So they will literally reduce your fees if you can help them with help them with promotion. So, like, even if you're not like a guru or something like that, it can still help you with your trading by giving you lower fees, and lower fees by default, assuming like nothing else changes, makes your P&L go up. So those are the two like standard things, which I think are definitely worth investing in right now. Oh, and also for marketing, just real quick, I'll make this final point before I move on to meta skills. So in the past, if you wanted to advertise something, anything, you had to pay money to a TV station or you had to pay money to a newspaper station so that you can get your ad featured, or you would have to pay some company so that your advertisement would go into people's like literal email, literal mailboxes, like a piece of paper, like a flyer or something. Or you'd have to pay someone to like hand out flyers, right? Like you had to literally pay people to let others know that you exist. But right now, the cost of doing this is zero. So it doesn't take there is no cost to letting people know that you exist. So you can promote something for free, right? For free. And if the conversion rate, so what is the percent likelihood that someone that you tell people, someone that you have told that you exist will make some kind of purchase or that you can make some kind of money from them. If the likelihood that that you can make money from them is greater than zero, but less than 100, and this converts to actual cash. So for $0, there's a percent likelihood that I can make some money. like that is ridiculous. That means that the EV per trade, per social media post is technically infinite. Like it's technically infinite if you really think about it. If we're just talking in units of money. But when we really boil it down, the EV per trade is not should not be measured in units of sorry, not per trade, sorry, per social media post. The EV per social media post should not be measured in dollars, but it should be measured in time. So how much time do we need to invest for a certain percentage of people to convert and make money from them, right? But still, the point is that it's mind-boggling. We can advertise for free to a very large number of people globally, internationally, right? Before you could only do it locally. Now you can do it internationally. So it's insane, right? This is highly underrated, okay? And to like prove the point, there's a bunch of people who have no technical skill whatsoever, and just simply because they have this skill, they can make a bunch of money. If you do have technical skill and you pair it with this, you'll make even more money, right? So this is worth learning. Okay, now let's talk about meta skills. So the first one is how you increase your own rate of learning, right? So the better that you get at increasing the speed of how you learn, the better. Because if you learn at, if you're developing a standard skill, whether it's learning AI or learning marketing, learning guitar, whatever, for every 1 unit of time that you spend, you get slightly better at whatever that skill is. But if you get better at your rate of learning, let's say you're investing your time and energy into improving at rate of learning. For every time that you level up in your rate of learning, the size of these steps of how skilled you get at the standard skills basically moves up, right? So the speed of how you move up this ladder in your standard skills, it basically improves not linearly, but exponentially. So like if all you do with 100% of your time is only spend that time on just marketing, you will improve like this. But if you spend some of that time on your rate of learning and then the other part of your time on marketing, what will happen is your rate of learning will, since each of these steps gets larger over time, you get a non-linear curve. So you get an exponential type of curve of how good you can get at that particular thing. So increasing your rate of learning is 100% worth it, because the ROI of how this impacts everything else is huge. So this one is really big. And then the second one would be your metacognitive introspective awareness. I know this is a really fancy word, but basically what this means is how aware are you of your own thoughts, your own thinking, and your own belief systems. So this isn't like, okay, let me explain. So let's say you're thinking about an apple, right? When you picture this apple in your mind, and you see the apple, you're like, oh yeah, I see an apple. That's like level 1. That's like level 1 type thinking. Level 2 type thinking is recognizing that the apple is just a thought. So whatever the contents of this thing is, it's just thought. And you're just like, oh, okay, a thought is appearing. Oh, this other thing, whatever the contents of it are, this is just a belief, right? So the reason why this one is so important is because when you can zoom out and when you can negate the contents of whatever is inside the thought or the belief, or like your, like, I don't like this word, but I'm just going to use it anyway. Your programming or your conditioning. When you can zoom out and when you can look at it objectively, it's a lot easier to kind of look at your thought process as a whole and start tinkering with it and adjusting it. Because your beliefs are like clay. You can change them and mold them to whatever you want. And the same with your thoughts to some extent, right? So you can't fully control your thinking, but you can influence it to some extent based on the belief systems that you have. So this is really effective because, the reason why I think this is so important is because the more clearly that you can, or the better that you are at zooming out and just looking at your thoughts or your beliefs, your emotions, feelings, etc., objectively, the less bias you can have when doing anything, and the less biased you are, the more objective you're thinking about some kind of process. the more like fluid and open you are to changing and to adjusting and to iterating to whatever is actually optimal. So like you might have a certain belief like, oh, I think that this is the best way to do something because of reason X, Y, and Z, right? But it's a skill to look at that belief and say, this is a temporary thing and I could be wrong about this. And to look at your own beliefs, especially the ones that you hold so firmly, and to say, what if I'm wrong? Or what if I replace this with something else? Would my output or would my results be better? And doing this can be hard because we often kind of like stick these labels onto ourselves, like, oh, I'm this type of person. Oh, I get this is the kind of results that someone like me gets. Like, okay, I'm not going to drag on for with this for too long, but the point is that the more that you can zoom out and look at your thoughts, your beliefs, your emotions objectively, rather than subjectively and be so caught up in them, the easier it will be to learn faster, to look at data more realistically, and to see things more clearly. And the more clearly that you can see, the easier it will be to go through this loop and actually get better results.